All right, y'all. So for this one, we are going to actually be revisiting the 4B movement, which is Should We Boycott Men? This is actually a big hit on Medium, my podcast, and on YouTube, and it's getting a lot of attention. So let's go talk about this some more because this is really the gift that keeps on giving. And if you haven't already, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe because this is just it's something else, and it's actually a pretty smart strategy as an activist. So it's no secret that men need women more than women need men. While men have denied this for decades, the 4B movement is proving this to be even more true. Recently, I wrote a piece about the 4B movement in Korea, and the movement aims to avoid four things: dating men, sex with men, marrying men, and having children with men. Another thing it seems to avoid is just generally not being around men unless you absolutely have to. So the Korean government has implemented some interesting policies, which I mentioned in my previous content about the 4B movement. Recently, I found out about Korean matchmaking companies. It's pretty bad when the government has to get involved in convincing people to get married and have children. They are even trying to import women from other countries. So matchmakers are nothing new. They're pretty universal. However, they are out of range for many people. And regardless, a lot of women are waking up to the fact that marriage and children just may not be worth it. Most of us do want to get married, be courted, and properly won over. However, there is such a shortage of potential partners that many of us, myself included, have just, we've just kind of checked out and become indifferent. Like, if it happens, great, but if not, you know, is what it is. It's similar to the current job market. And anyone like me who's looking for a job can tell you it's rough out there. There isn't a shortage of workers. There is definitely a shortage of jobs willing to pay a living wage. So there isn't a shortage of people who want to get married and potentially have children, but there is a shortage of suitable partners and resources required to be able to stable life with someone. After a while, it's easy to become jaded and indifferent, then go on 1,000 bullshit coffee dates. So that's just how I feel. I would rather focus on my writing, activism, and build up my dream life, and just instead of going on 1,000 bullshit first dates that may or may not lead to marriage, and just feel like I'm wasting my time. Nothing would make me happier than for the right person to find me and everything just sorts itself out. However, I have totally accepted that may not happen, and many others have too. So most of us want love and to be in love, but putting in the effort is exhausting, and it just becomes less appealing as you get older. You just see too much. So it gets annoying, I think, with the 4B movement. They just don't want to deal with men. Because I think from my perspective, it also just gets annoying teaching men how to date us and just do things they should be doing. It's exhausting. There are basic things that adults should be able to do in all areas of life, including dating, and these things are common sense, or they should be. So if a man can't do these things, most people want to date them. Like anyone else, women get sick of repeating themselves. For those who do want to start families, though, money is a big issue in society all over the place, especially in Korea and the US. Children are expensive unless you love and want them. It isn't worth it. Childcare, housing, and other costs can deter couples from having kids, even if they initially wanted them. To make matters worse, the gender wage gap in South Korea is 31%. So this means that Korean women are paid 31% less than men who do the same job. For comparison, the percentage is closer to 8% now in the US. And women also don't want to damage their bodies or sacrifice their careers for kids that they didn't want in the first place. We want to be treated like humans, not livestock. Another main issue in Korean society is the prevalence of violence against women. Violence against women is prevalent everywhere, including South Korea. However, revenge porn, domestic violence, women getting hurt, or worse for rejected men is prevalent. And I've also recently heard something about hidden cameras being a real big problem over there. I think that they're kind of a problem in the US too. That's definitely a new one that I need to, well, I don't know if it's new, but it's something that I have to look into. But when these incidences increase, it becomes less appealing to date when you can become a victim. As a rape and stalking survivor, it makes dating significantly harder, and I am so much more cautious with men than most people, just from my life experiences. Although there are many factors that I've covered here and in previous content about South Korea's declining birth rate and the 4B movement, the statistics are very interesting. According to these statistics, 65% of South Korean women do not want children. That is quite a bit for a country with a very low birth rate. Honestly, I don't blame them at all. In all honesty, marriage and children are just becoming less appealing all over the world. What is a few minutes of responsibility for a man is usually a lifetime of thankless responsibility for a woman. I mean, think about it. Women are generally the ones who sacrifice their body, sacrifice their career, sacrifice everything, and are expected to just enjoy doing free labor. And for what? You know, the bar, you know, my dad wasn't like this, thank goodness, but the bar for men in what's considered good is just so ungodly low. I think women around the world are just fed up with it. The 4B movement is also smart for attempting to change society, not men. Boycotts take time. However, they can be an effective tool for societal change. If you can't change someone, the next best thing is just hit them where it hurts to make a statement. So, you know, you don't deal with men. They're wondering why they're lonely. However, it's not fair to blame these women who are part of this movement for the country's declining birth rate. They're the symptom of a larger problem that includes a skyrocketing cost of living, misogyny, and other pitfalls of living under a patriarchal capitalist system. However, there is concern that women will feel pressure to live a certain way regardless of whether they go the 4B route or a more traditional life path. Honestly, many of us want something between a more traditional partnership and a more modern partnership. I know I definitely do. And regardless of someone's preferred path, women need to just set the tone in a relationship, how to be treated, their requirements and standards. If someone doesn't meet them, then they just aren't an option. And that includes a whole society, so be it. I mean, that's a little drastic, but you know, I'm all about having standards and going for what you want. So the other thing to keep in mind is women do not owe you sex, marriage, or children. That's a privilege, not a right. If someone wants those things, they need to behave in a manner that proves that they deserve them. Someone who used to make content about dating and has probably been on thousands of dates since I was a teenager until I just dating apps for good a few years ago. I can tell you right now, many men do not. It is just absolutely unbelievable how brazen and entitled a lot of men on these apps are, and honestly pretty disgusting. They seem entitled to sex. They seem entitled to everything. I've definitely, you know, got some stories that I've slowly shared, but we're also just starting to realize that they've been sold a lie in that a man, romantic partnerships, and marriage shouldn't be the center of our universe. And I think that's one thing to remember. Yes, it's great to have someone you love. Yes, it's great to fall in love and have a supportive partner. And if you want children, to go that route. Yes, most of us, myself included, would love to get married, but it also shouldn't be the center of your universe. It shouldn't really be that big of a goal, right? You can't really control when you're going to meet the right person. Sure, like I could have been married 3 or 4 times by now, and I'm so glad none of them worked out. But when it comes to dating, marriage, etc., it's better to just hold off and get it right, or just forgo it altogether. So that is totally fine as well. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know that was even an option until like the last year or so, and I'm about to turn 33 next month, which is insane. I didn't know that people just voluntarily didn't get married for whatever reason. I mean, I knew there were couples that would like cohabitate and stuff, but like I didn't know there were people, a lot of women who were just like, no, I'm not gonna get married, not having kids, I'm just gonna like live by my own, and this is what I'm choosing to do, not I couldn't find anyone. So my advice is just to take some time off. I dated almost nonstop as a teenager in my 20s. Like I said, 3 or 4 people I came close to marrying, and as someone in my 30s, I'm just burnt out and over it. Like whoever, if I were to meet someone, they would just have to come to me and make it obvious, because I'm just not really putting in any effort. Would I love to get married and meet the right person? Sure, but it's not a necessity. I'm indifferent, and I'm just not going to make it happen. I've survived a rape, a stalker, attempted reproductive coercion, and disappointment after disappointment. So it's not to say that everyone I dated was terrible. I mean, I'm openly bi. I'd say the ratio is like 75% men, 25% women. And, you know, as far as who was good and who was terrible and who was okay, you know, it's kind of like 50-50. Some were good, some weren't so good, some were meh. But, you know, it just becomes exhausting dating as a woman. So all these governments and dudes who are complaining about the 4B movement and all these other topics in society, you know, it's really not that hard. Instead of bitching and trying to get women, just be better men. Pass better laws, stop being a dumb fuck, come up with better governmental policies, and actually get some home training. Honestly, it's not that hard. Stop blaming women for problems that you created and for their shitty behavior. And also, I do have some great videos that are on the Medium page. So if you want to go check those out, definitely go there. So I would love to hear your thoughts. And of course, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And let me know what you think. I think this is probably going to be a recurring topic because The 4B movement is really just the gift that keeps on giving. So have a great day, y'all.